It's been 8 years since you bought your favorite fragrance and you're finally reaching the end of your 300 ml bottle. Now, what do? Do you just buy another bottle of the same fragrance? Or do you potentially try something new? In this video, if you enjoy any of these fragrances, I'm going to give you alternatives that I think you will love because they are in similar taste. They're not clones at all, in similar taste. And I think the alternatives are probably a little bit better. The first fragrance we're going to discuss is La Nuit de l'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent, which is actually in this picture here, in this collection by Fernando. If you don't know where this picture is coming from, it is coming from my own course on fragrances that I made on Skillshare, which is today's sponsor. If you want to learn everything about fragrances, the foundations of the topic, I created the only fragrance course of that kind on Skillshare, where I discuss why scent is important, the 5 foundational fragrances every man should have, how to expand your foundation, how to apply a fragrance, how to make your fragrance last longer, and also how to find a great signature scent for you. It's gotten fantastic reviews so far. We've almost reached 900 students. Jaden Pertino says, amazing course, great for a beginner like me. I gained a foundational understanding of scents and actionable steps I can take to build out my fragrance collection. Daniel James says, straight to the point, not long and drawn out, a great introduction to building a solid foundation for yourself. It is a course that is short, concise, straight to the point. If you haven't checked it out already, guys, make sure you do. Skillshare is giving you guys the offer of having 1 month free trial to the entire platform where you can access my course and any other course of your liking. Skillshare is a platform for creative people. If you want to learn anything to your heart's desire, such as art, dance, music, fragrances. For example, I personally am very unhealthy. I used to be a bigger guy when I was in uni. I used to do bodybuilding, but nowadays I do bodyweight training, calisthenics, because that's something I enjoy more, to give myself control when I'm training myself. There's a great course by someone called Felix Harder, for example. He has a course where he gives you meal plans, your workouts, as well as your mindset for working out, all in one concise package. The convenience is great through Skillshare. You can learn anything that you want. The first 1,000 people who want to access Skillshare for a 1 month free trial can do so in the link below in the description. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Let's get started. La Nuit de l'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent. You enjoy the sexy cardamom-based nature of this fragrance. It's balanced, warm, romantic, but of course the performance is pants. Now, La Nuit de l'Homme, if you finish a bottle, which you can easily, just overspray this fragrance. Don't worry about how many sprays you're going for this. I think if you finish this, you can upgrade to a fragrance called BDK's Gris Charnel, either the Eau de Parfum de Extrait. It is another cardamom-based fragrance that is very balanced, sexy, and romantic, similar to La Nuit de l'Homme, but it goes in a bit more of a different direction. I think it smells higher quality, honestly. Maybe not as safe as La Nuit de l'Homme, but it has more interesting notes, such as fig and sandalwood and iris. It is a more unisex, cardamom-based fragrance. Definitely not a clone of La Nuit de l'Homme at all, but I think anyone who loves La Nuit will love that fragrance. It's a masterpiece. I think the brand's best from what I've seen so far. The Extrait de Parfum is probably a better scent, but not as versatile. If you want more versatility, go for the Eau de Parfum. If you love Sauvage Elixir and you're finishing your little 50 ml bottle that they provide for you for that, get this fragrance as an upgrade. Initio Parfum, Oud for Greatness. Doesn't really make sense. This is an oud fragrance while Sauvage Elixir is not. It's more of an ambroxan, lavender, spicy fragrance, but I have very similar vibes. Intense, masculine spiciness, extreme performance, and a lot of woodiness in there. Sauvage Elixir is too overpowering in my opinion. I think this is more smooth actually, but they do have similar character in my opinion. So if you want masculine, strong, dominating fragrances with great performances, both these fragrances achieve the same thing, but Sauvage Elixir gives me a headache after 10 minutes, and I think the dry down is worse than the opening. It's more synthetic. It still has that ambroxan nature of Sauvage, whilst I think Oud for Greatness is just more smooth, has a more natural oud in there, has nice saffron in there, very highly regarded and highly sought after spice. So it is more expensive, but I think if you really love that kind of DNA, you go all out, you want to spend some more money, Oud for Greatness I think is an upgrade. Not as well performing. I get 10 hours for this, whilst Sauvage Elixir was like, what, 14 to 16 hours? It was probably a bit too much anyways. So yeah, they're both strong performers overall. Dior Homme Intense. We're just slating Dior today in today's video. Sauvage Elixir, yeah, nice fragrance. This is also a very nice fragrance. You know, both these fragrances actually aren't actually to my taste. I've said it before on this channel that I don't like fragrances that are too smooth, and I think Dior Homme Intense is just too smooth. It is still a masterpiece. I objectively cannot fault it. I still think it's a very creative, chocolatey, romantic, iris, powdery fragrance for men, which is great that creative options like this are on the market. I really appreciate Dior back when they were more creative like this and than their usual stuff now. But you know, if you like that kind of really romantic, warm, smooth fragrances, here's a fragrance I would recommend you get next instead of this if your bottle's finishing. Go for Parfums de Marly's Herod, which you might be wondering, you know, how are they similar? They got very similar vibes, very different notes, but similar effects. Parfums de Marly Herod is not an iris fragrance, it's a tobacco, cinnamon, vanilla fragrance, but it's very warm, inviting, very smooth. Again, I would still give it like a 9 out of 10 Herod, but it's not one of my personal favorite fragrances. It's not to my taste, but it has a very nice, smooth, extremely well blended, long lasting, intimate, high quality, romantic fragrance effects. Very seductive, still very sexy if you like smooth fragrances. Okay, we've slated Dior, now let's move on to slating Chanel. Chanel's Egoiste pour Homme. The original Egoiste is a mature man's fragrance. It is a very good office fragrance for guys who like very dry, a little bit old school, spicy leather and mainly sandalwood scents. It's got complexity to it. It's got a nice mature ruggedness to it here. Now, if you like this fragrance, I'm going to presume you like sandalwood scents because it is still very heavy on the sandalwood, even if it has other notes in there. This next fragrance I think is better, but it's more simple and you're gonna love sandalwood. Acqua di Parma Sandalo. Again, very different fragrances, but then a similar vibe. Big sandalwood notes in here. Sandalwood is the main character out in the open, and that's now surrounded by some citruses, some creamy lavender in here. It's like a barbershop scent that is maxed out on sandalwood. Thick, creamy sandalwood that really punches you in the face. Like this is like fragrance for guys who are obsessed with sandalwoods. As I said, Egoiste has more complexity to it, but I actually think this is more enjoyable to wear because you just know what you're getting with this. If you love sandalwood like myself, you're gonna get a very similar vibe, mature, more modern smelling. Again, I think both Egoiste and this are 35 years old and plus. In my opinion, dress well, dress sharp, wear it to the office. They're both gonna struggle to be worn in the summertime, but they're both extremely good performance because of that. They're not light and fresh. These are very heavy but professional scents. So if you love sandalwood, I genuinely think Acqua di Parma Sandalo is one of the sexiest sandalwood notes I've ever smelled. It's beautifully done. There are some guys who love Tom Ford's Black Orchid, which is a unisex scent that I think leans more feminine, very intense, dense chocolate, truffle notes, florals, vanilla. Very complex, very intense, very clever perfumery, but I kind of find it too cloying and not masculine enough. I think those of you who like it will enjoy Terence Hughes Maverick. This brand has been recently rebranded, and Maverick was one of the fragrances that made it through the cut. So Maverick is still there. I think it's one of the brand's most popular fragrances, and I can see why. This has gotten me many compliments already from the few times I've worn it, and it's a very nice, dark signature scent. Similar to Black Orchid, but at the same time not as complex, but still very high quality. It's got vanilla, plum, patchouli, nutmeg, so it's got a nice spiciness, a nice gourmand character to it. It's like a fresh, dark gourmand character in this fragrance. It's not overpowering. Black Orchid is too much, I think, whilst this, Aaron has balanced it out with the citruses in this fragrance very well. I think he's made a very nice, strong, potent, 10 hours performance still, but maybe a little bit soft to moderate projection. It's not too loud, but still, it's still fresh enough to wear as a daily signature. I wouldn't wear this in the summertime, but I wouldn't wear Black Orchid in the summertime either. Some guys do because they're crazy. Maverick, I think, is the superior alternative to it. But either way, if you love Black Orchid, I think you will really love this. So try it out. There's no excuse. You can get samples or a 10 ml at the very least from Aaron's website. And finally, for this last fragrance, I'll just generally say, if you're a fan of the bubblegum category, so if you haven't smelled bubblegum fragrances before, it sort of refers to fragrances like Paco Rabanne's Invictus. I think the original Paco Rabanne 1 Million has a bubblegum character to it as well. And also fragrances like Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultramar. So sweet, fruity, loud, synthetic, modern smelling fragrances. If you like those kind of fragrances, or even fragrances like Acqua di Parma Absolu as well, that's another bubblegum fragrance. This is the fragrance I suggest that you will love the most. Rasasi Hawas, it's still here. After all these years, I still think this is my top bubblegum scent out there. It has the bubblegum nature of fragrances like Paco Rabanne's Invictus, but they made it here more Middle Eastern, made it beast mode. So this is aquatic Invictus, so it's like aquatic notes mixed with the bubblegum character, mixed with Middle Eastern cinnamon and plum, made louder but still fresh at the same time, which is extremely impressive. So I get like 10 hours longevity with a medium to loud projection. This is like a head turner that's still fresh and light, something nice and easy to wear most of the year round. Ideally a summertime fragrance, but it can cut through the cold as well, making this a great value for money. I think it's probably one of the safest, and most versatile bubblegum scents out there. What did you guys think of today's choices? Do you agree or disagree with what I've said? As I mentioned before, these are not clones, but similar vibes in these fragrances. I thought this video would be quite interesting to see, you know, if you guys love any of these, do you think you're gonna go onto these other alternatives next as you finish your initial bottles? Let me know in the comments down below, guys, if you agree or disagree. And also don't forget to check out our sponsor, Skillshare, in the description down below. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.